I mean, you had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vogt.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes. Episode 189 episodes of MinneZona Sports Live. Who would have thunk? Not me, as Paul Rudd once said. Without further ado, I am your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way from Granite City Studios in St. Cloud, Minnesota, Paul the Shield. What's going on there, Shield?
You know, it's a little bit of a different time that we now find ourselves in. We are now living in a day and age where O.J. Simpson is no longer on this earth to join us as well. So I say we propose a toast to the departed O.J. Simpson, whether fortunately or unfortunately. May he now rest in peace, knowing that the killer of his ex-wife is now finally laid to rest. And may he be looking up at us right now. So here's to you, Juice. The juice was set loose.
I got one for him. Right here.
Right
here. Right here. That's all I got to say about that. But
awkward segue later.
Awkward segue. We got a lot to talk about tonight. There's it's interesting to me because anytime we have this person on, there's usually a person that follows one Money Munson. But our good friend Alex has returned. He is ready for some Money Munson, a.k.a. Cole Munson, has returned to the show. So a couple things. One, there's a lot to talk about with these Minnesota Timberwolves. They take on the Phoenix Suns not tonight. Why would I say tonight? Yep. Good Lord. Rewind. Saturday at
Yes, sir.
2:30, if I'm not mistaken. Game 1. So we talked a lot about the Wolves and seeing, hey, can they get this done? How's Cat going to play? We talk a whole lot about that. And then after, we will just kind of give our thoughts on the series and give our predictions. Because that game is on Saturday, and we'll keep in tune with everything. And we talk about a lot with it. And Cole gives his predictions, so it's going to be exciting. But after our segment with Cole Munson, we have to talk about the contract of one Justin Jefferson. That one, I feel like there's some talker to it. There's some talking points that I want to get to with that, and there's some people that think that he should be traded. If you think he should be traded, you are in fact
the team
idiot. But I jest for some of it, but I think it's dumb if you let him go, or trade him. So we got that going for us. Then we got ARA. We got really good ARAs tonight. TJ Hawkinson talks about the low hits in the NFL, and hey, there's a lot with that. And also Deion Sanders picks out teams for his sons that he wants his sons to play on for next year or whenever they go to the league. Interesting. The NHL playoffs are set to begin as well, so we'll talk about that. And Arizona Coyotes moving to Utah, apparently. Weird deal with that. So we'll keep our eye on that, and the USA Olympic basketball team has been set. And well, I'm gonna save that.
Buckets.
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 That's exactly it. That's all I gotta say with that. Buckets is all I gotta say. So we got a stacked show. Shield shoutouts as always as well. So I say we give the people what they want. And listening to Cole Munson, and he claimed in his socials medias that there was Rubio talk. There was just brief, not too much Rubio talk.
Minute.
Minute. There's a reason for that. No, I'm half joking, half not joking.
We go for one controversial figure talking about O.J. Simpson. Let's go to another one in Cole Munson.
Yeah, exactly. So, segment should be a little under a half hour, so please enjoy and go Wolves. We are joined with our special guest, even though he's been on here like 5, 6, 7 times or something like that. But we enjoy having him on, Cole Munson. Welcome back to the show, Cole. We got a lot to talk about with these Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's just get going because there's a lot to talk about. The Timberwolves will be taking on the Phoenix Suns. The Wolves end up with the 3rd seed, and the Suns end up with the 6th seed. This was one of the teams that we were kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't like that per se. But Cole, why don't you give us your first thoughts on the series with the Suns?
Yeah, definitely the matchup you wanted to avoid here. Truthfully, I'd have taken any of the play-in teams and probably the Mavericks over the Suns. We don't match up well against the Suns. As we talked about in the pre-meeting, 0-3 versus the Suns this regular season. None of the games have been particularly close. One game was a 10-point loss, but we only scored 87 points. So, do with that what you want. It's a tough draw for sure. Also, looking beyond that, even if we win this series, having to play Denver in the second round is a really tough draw too. So definitely not an ideal start to this whole run, but you get what you get. Welcome to the West.
Well, yeah, welcome to the West. Do you know what the all-time record is between these two teams? The Suns are 83-44. That is
Ew.
they have 83 wins over the Wolves. The Wolves only have 44. So, with that being said, you have to put out the Boo Birds in this because it's like, gosh darn it, we can't beat this damn team. So, with that being said, Cole, you gave us your first you gave us your first thoughts on it. But how the hell do we contain their big three? Not only do you have KD, you have Book, you have Bradley Beal. Book and KD are averaging the same points, 27, and Beal, 18. I mean, we just talked about the 0-3 deal. How can we contain this team? And we obviously haven't figured out how to stop them this whole season. So what do you think that the Wolves have to do to contain these guys and try to, get the series? What do you think?
Yeah, so it's a large reason why it's a really tough matchup for us is we tend to take away the three-pointer and try and funnel people into Rudy Gobert, which then leads to a lot of mid-range shots, allowing a lot of mid-range shots, which normally is exactly what you want to do. The problem is now you're facing probably three of the best mid-range scorers in the history of basketball with Beal, Booker, and Durant. So unfortunately, you're going to have to switch things up a little bit. You still want to try and force things into Rudy, but, you're going to have to take away that mid-range better than what you did in the regular season. And then a guy that you didn't mention on their team, but is also probably going to play a huge part in this series, Grayson Allen is the leading, I believe, three-point shooter in the league right now, percentage-wise.
Mr. Tripper, yeah.
And that guy can score. And, yes, him and J.J. Redick, man, it's something about Duke. But he can shoot the lights out of the ball. And when you pair him with those three superstars, it's a very dangerous combination, scoring and shooting-wise. And if they get hot, you're in trouble. Now, where I think we can really take advantage of them is obviously, and it's been a problem for them for most of the season, they don't have a true point guard. They have Bradley Beal and Devin Booker trying to handle the ball for the most part and bring the ball up and kind of get them in their offense, which at times works because, they're just that good. But not having any sort of true point guard, not having someone that's used to being a table setter like that, can really kind of make things difficult, especially late in the game, which really showed in the regular season where the Suns were actually the worst team in the entire NBA in the fourth quarter.
Well, I mean, if there's some silver linings, that's what, they have the best defense in the NBA. The Timberwolves do. Now, obviously, we talked about how, we're not able to, defend against them because, I mean, in the three games that we mentioned here, Cole, those three games, they weren't close. I mean, 125-106 on April 14th. April 5th, they lost by 10, 97-87. And then in November, which is very early in the season, 133-115. So I was listening to an interview with Mike Conley, and he was talking about how they needed to stop. What was it, Cole? 14 turnovers in that game against.
A lot. They had 18 by halftime.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
18 by halftime, guys.
Right. And in the first half is what I'm saying. In the first half, they had 18. Now, this is I feel like they can fix this. And obviously, the way that they've been stopping Ant, and I think you would agree with this too, Cole, and Voldy, for that matter, is that they are really blocking the lane for Ant to get to driving. And basically, they're just going to foul the heck out of him. You know what I mean? So, I mean, how are the Wolves going to combat that and getting Ant those open lanes to the basket? I mean, is there a specific way that they need to give him, those? I mean, I think Cat is a big proponent of their success too, if they're able to do this. But what do you think? How are they going to give Ant clearance in the lane there. What do you think?
So obviously there's different techniques and stuff that they could use in plays, but when it comes down to it, you just got to hit shots. If you hit shots, then they can't pack the paint like that. If you're able to move the ball, it's going to be a huge Jaden McDaniels series, both defensively and offensively. If he can hit his open shots, then that forces them to come out on him. And then that changes the series because that creates more lanes for Ant to attack. It creates more lanes for Cat to attack. If Rudy can really punish him on the boards too, then that creates a better opportunity for us down the road to get some of those guys into foul trouble. Which is what you kind of saw. They made a run in the last game that they played against him at the end of the third quarter to cut it to single digits for a while. That was led largely by Rudy Gobert following it up. So, if you want to open it up for Ant, essentially what Ant is going to have to do is he's going to have to get his teammates involved and hope they hit shots, because they have enough defensive pieces that they're going to be able to throw people at him and really make it difficult for him to drive. So Conley hits some shots, bringing Jordan McLaughlin or some of the bench guys to hit some shots. Cat's got to hit some shots. If you hit shots, eventually the lane will open up for him to be able to take over.
Well, that's good news because we're going to need him. And I think he only had 13 points against the Suns this past game against them on the 14th there. Voldy, I feel like we've talked about this a lot with the Timberwolves. They complain about calls with the refs. Ant has kind of been like that. Cat, obviously, we all know, Cole knows too, complains to the refs way too much. They talked about that today on K-Fan when Mike Conley was with Dan Barrero. What do you think what would you say if you're the team leader and or like Coach Finch to have these guys stay on task and not let the refs take this game over? I mean, that's the main thing if they keep complaining about it. What do you think?
I mean, really, the big thing it comes down to, because you look at, obviously, a few games have slipped away from the Timberwolves, given the fact that maybe some questionable calls at the end of games, and there's not really much they can do about that. The refs are going to call what they want at the end of it, too. And when the NBA is coming out and saying, yeah, we kind of screwed things up there, we screwed the pooch on that, yeah, that's nice, but at the end of the day, this should have been a win for our team. Now that we go into the playoffs, I feel like there are going to be a lot tighter things when it comes to, some of those 50-50 calls, some a little bit more ticky-tacky, blatant of, murder on the court or whatever. They're going to probably let some things play out a little bit more. And it's going to be one of those where a veteran presence is going to have to, obviously keep them focused on the task at hand, because they already have their hands plenty full with Katie, Book, Beal, obviously Grayson Allen as well. To compete with that, they don't really need to make the extra man off the bench there wearing the referee uniform either. So I mean, it really takes that veteran presence with like the likes of obviously Mike Conley, Gobert as well. He's been around the league for a while too, to at least instill that. I feel like Conley a little bit more, because obviously he's more of a facilitator when it comes to obviously the offensive side, and at least keep the game flowing a lot more.
Right. Cole?
So Voldy really touched on the fact that you need to have a veteran presence, largely because you just don't have that with your superstars. With Cat and Ant. Cat's up there in age, but he doesn't have a lot of postseason games to his acknowledgement, and some of his postseason successes not really been successes. There's been a lot of shortfalls coming from Cat, so it's a bit of a question mark sometimes on what you're going to get from him. Now, Ant is really showing up in the playoffs, so that's going to be a huge thing. Regarding maintaining your composure in those big moments and having not allowing the refs to really dictate it. Again, it's going to be a lot of leadership with Kyle Anderson and Mike Conley. I think of the Monte Morris trade was a really big pickup. He's played a good amount of playoff games in his career. and he's played in some high impact games in the past too. So I think he's going to be very good calming presence for our team. Obviously, you've got Rudy there. Rudy's played in the top, like in some very, very big games and some top league moments. But it's just all about maintaining your composure and keeping a cool head on yourself. And I mean, the fans are going to be the fans. You're going to hear a lot of chanting of refs, you stink, refs are horrible, stuff like that. And you just got to maintain your cool.
I mean, you can say it. Ref, you suck, or others, other expletives too. So that's kind of how things will probably go, and especially at the Target Center, which they're very passionate.
Oh yeah.
So, I think we talked about enough of how we need to stop them and how we can contain these guys. Let's just get to the nitty gritty with this. Cole, what do they need to do to win this series? I mean, I for me, real briefly, I think with Cat coming back and from injury, now that he's back, it's time to get into playoff mode with him. Like you said just before, Cat has not done very well in the playoffs. Now, when people have gotten on him to play better, he did. I mean, granted, he did, but he needs to come out with the mentality of, look, I know who I am. I know I am a great player. I need to show up here in these playoffs. So I think it is very key that a lot of it kind of revolves with Karl Anthony Towns, but also all the work that they put in this season is defense. But let's not forget how Ant has played too. So what do they need to do to win this series? What do you think?
They need to keep up offensively. Their defense is going to show up enough that they'll be able to hold the Suns to some really low-scoring games. And if they can produce offensively, they'll win the series. The problem is like they said, they've held Ant pretty much in check. I pulled some stats here. So Ant averaged 25 or 26, 5 and 5.5 roughly. Okay. So 26, 5 assists, 26 points, 5 assists, 5.5 rebounds. That was his average on the year. Do you want to know what he averaged against the Suns for those 3 games that he played?
Hit us.
14 points a game, 14.3, 4 assists, and 6 rebounds, and was a minus 63 in those 3 games. Wow. That's an average of 21 point difference with him on the floor. And he is also shooting 31% in those 3 games that he played against the Knicks in the regular season, with 9 turnovers in the last 2 games. So you need a better Ant to show up to be able to have a chance in this series. Because if Ant produces like he did in the regular season against this team, you're probably looking at a 5-game, possibly even 4-game sweep. You need him to be a top-notch star. You need him to produce like previous playoff Anthony Edwards have. And that's going to be the huge key. Another key thing that you're going to have to keep an eye out for is who is Karl Anthony Towns going to guard? Because you look up and down that Suns roster, Rudy's going to have to take whatever center they have out there. I know they played Thad Young against us. They play Bull sometimes. And then obviously Nurkic is the starter there. But you're going to have to put Rudy on that guy. You're going to have to put Rudy on the guy that can't shoot. Does that mean Karl Anthony Towns is going to have to play some defense against a guy like Kevin Durant? Because that probably is not a huge recipe for success. The other guy you would be looking at out of that starting lineup would be Grayson Allen. Right. Well, Grayson Allen shoots 40-something% and is a lot smaller than Cat. So I would be worried that Grayson Allen would be able to have his way there. Now, obviously, the same can be asked on the other side. Who's going to guard Karl Anthony Towns? Who's going to guard Rudy Gobert and those guys? But that's going to be one of the key questions that you're going to have to answer also is who is Cat going to guard? Because if he's getting cooked for the entire series, you may have to go smaller and just try and match them because You can try and oppose your will all you want, but if Grayson Allen's cooking you, you got to make an adjustment.
One thing I want to bring up real quick, and then I want you to give me your top 3 bench players who need to step up. But Jaden McDaniels, I feel like is probably, and I think he has these past games that they've played him, just make KD uncomfortable as best you can, because we all know what Kevin Durant can do. And I think if Jaden McDaniels is that defensive guy that we know he is, I think that's going to give us a chance. But you talking about Cat from that instance too, I don't see Cat matching up with Durant. I mean, he'll go right around Cat, all day, every day, unless Cat is, really taking it seriously with his defense. But there's a lot to be said with that. But I feel like Jaden McDaniels is going to, really be. And the thing is, Ant's got his vote of confidence. I mean, Ant's like, hey, they got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels. So let's go. Let's get it going with McDaniels. So, Cole, give me your top 3 bench players who need to step up here in this series.
Yeah, so one of the biggest key players in this series is Naz Reid. You're going to need Naz Reid to put up points. You're going to need Naz Reid to score in an efficient manner. He likely is a finalist for the 6th Man of the Year award, well-deserved. He of WrestleMania fame with the little banner. Saw that. But, you're going to need him to score and provide some punch off the bench because, like I said earlier, sometimes we struggle to score. And he really struggled towards the end of the regular season to try and put the ball in the basket. And if you have that, this series, it's really going to hurt you a lot, and you're going to have to find scoring somewhere else. But if you can get the best version of Naz Reid, then that can kind of help counteract if Cat is really struggling coming off that injury, or let's say you can't play Kyle Anderson more, which I'll get into later. But that is probably the biggest key bench piece you've got. Second, I would actually say is Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So I could actually see Nickeil Alexander-Walker closing games for us in this series. And I also think he's going to be one of the key defenders against both Beal and Booker. He is he has an argument for being on the all-defensive team.
Yeah.
He is a top-notch perimeter defender. Also has been hitting his shots. I think he shot 39% from 3 this year. With a 2.8 wins or defensive win share. So he is a top-notch defender that is able to hit open shots and also be able to create a little bit. Sure. He is going to be a key person that you can put in the game towards the end of the game, especially if they're really picking on Conley, which you could see towards the end of the game. Finally, the third guy that I would point out is Monty Morris. Monty Morris, like I mentioned him earlier, he's a guy we traded for at the deadline, knockdown 3-point shooter, great bench presence as a point guard, and can really provide some scoring punch at the bench too. He has that veteran leadership that Voldy was looking for with all those years of experience with the Nuggets, and really provides a sense of calm when he comes into the game, being able to provide instant offense.
Well, I like like that you have Morrison there because you traded for him, right? That's what you wanted with him, and with McLaughlin, he can give you some some juice, but I feel like they needed that extra point guard to help them get to where they need to be. So I'm glad that you brought that up with Morris. I think he's going to be key in this series as well. So, all right, Cole. Before we hit rapid fire, what is your prediction? Just for the series. Okay, just for the series. Wolves in 4, 5, 6, 7. Or do you think the Suns got it down? We're going to believe the hype of this is the worst matchup and the Wolves are going to get knocked out first round. What do you got? Yep. Same thing
I'm
here.
going back and forth on this a lot. I'm gonna say it with my chest. Wolves in 5. Sweep at home. Split on the road.
All right.
Sweep it out game 5 at home.
Win
like
game 5 at home. I do like that. What would so real quick? What would you say? Where's the loss? Where's the loss? In Phoenix, I'd assume.
Game 3, I think game 3 we'd lose. Game 4 we'd come out strong after the loss. I think it'd probably be a big game that game 4, coming out looking to really put the foot on the throat and just close them out.
I love it. Voldy, we're gonna give our predictions at a different time, but let's hit them with some rapid fire.
So we're going to throw a couple of over-unders at you as well here with rapid fire here this go-around. We're going to start off, bit of a sensitive subject, if we will. Number of hours you have spent crying over the retirement of his NBA career with Ricky Rubio. The over-under is at 24 and a half hours.
That's an over. That's a firm over.
That is
crying internally, I will say. Crying internally.
Oh, come on. You can cry.
Arguably the best point guard in Timberwolves history.
No.
I mean,
we don't have time for that.
Yeah, you don't. You don't.
No, we don't have time for that. Number of fists thrown at your wall when you still heard Glenn Taylor still owns the Timberwolves at 37 and a half.
Well, I was at my parents' house, so it's an under at my house.
Okay. All right. We'll take the under on that. Also, another sensitive subject as well. Number of hours that you have been questioning why you didn't repeat as best guest of the year for MinneZona
That's a
Sports
great
Live
one.
at 26 and a half.
Yeah, explain that, Cole.
Well, I had a nice conversation with Alex Askeruth when I went back home, and he informed me he's going to help me try and regain my title. So we're gonna work with that. To answer your question, under.
All right.
Yeah.
We got your first. We got. All right. Final question here for you. We got the first round prediction here. Wolves in 5. They get out of the first round. They get past the Suns. How far does this team go past the first round? They go into the semifinals. They go conference finals, or all the way to the NBA finals. There for you.
Are you talking fan me or analyst me?
Ooh,
yes, to that question.
Yeah.
Give me both answers.
Fan me, we're winning it all. We're going all the way, baby. Over Boston, or actually over Milwaukee. Over Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I'd love to rub it into these Bucks fans here.
Oh, okay. I like that. I'll give you a clap. Okay.
I like it. All right.
Analysts, we win this round, probably lose in 7 to Denver.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
Hard pill to swallow.
But hey, we're going to give them the best run they'll have all playoffs. I think they sweep through the Thunder, and I think they probably beat the Celtics in the finals.
There were some people that were saying that the Thunder are the worst, the weakest 1 seed, like almost ever in the NBA, which is very. I don't know. They've got a lot of great young talent. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. This is other people saying it, but I wouldn't sleep on the Thunder though. I wouldn't sleep on the Thunder.
That 2015 Atlanta Hawks team with like Jeff Teague and Kyle Korver.
That's right. That is right.
That is what one thing about them. They were they were just there for LeBron to run them over. Also, there were 1 seeds with like Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan as their 2 top stars. Don't give me that the Thunder are the worst one. They've got an MVP candidate on the team. Come on.
And again, not me saying it. That's
DeMar DeRozan. Why? Like who? But who is DeMar DeRozan? Come on now.
I don't know. I don't know, man. Well, Cole, I would say pretty much, I think we covered a lot, and it's good because this series is going to be intriguing to me. And I think it's very important for this team to get the job done. But one quick thing before you go. The last time you were on the show, you said that the Wolves were going to trade either Karl Anthony Towns or Rudy Gobert at the end of the season. Do you still, real quick, do you still believe that to be the case? Regardless of how the season ends, what do you think?
Well, that can't be how the way you worded that question, that can't be true. Because how this season ends answers that question.
Okay.
If they lose in the first round this year, I think Cat's traded. I think if they lose to the Suns here and it's an ugly 5-game, 6-game loss, and you'll find out real early if they're going to win this series or not, because if they come out flat game 1 and they get steamrolled, I think this series is going to be done quick. If that's the case, I think Cat gets traded in the offseason. If they can win this series and put up at least a really good fight against Denver, then I think he stays. So it is a very, I can't answer your question with a black or white, yes or no, because it 100% depends on how this team does. Because if you lose to this Suns team after they struggled this hard for the entire year, you need to make some changes. If you can't get out of the first round, you're not going to pay double apron or luxury tax, no matter how good the regular season was. So, yeah, I think in the end, I do think we make it past this series, and I think we really give the Nuggets a run for their money, and we look like the second best team in the West. Which, if that is the case, then I think we keep everything up and going and hope that next year we can make a run.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. So, hey, Cole, thanks for joining us again. We'll probably, depending on how the results go, we probably will have you on either way, though. I mean, depending on how things go. So, thanks for coming on, Cole. And, we'll see you next time, my friend.
Anytime, guys.
All right, that will do it with Cole Munson. But, Voldy, after our chat, I just think that it's only fair that we read some of the comments that are in the chats tonight. Mm-hmm. Obviously, our guy Alex very happy that Cole is on and happy to have you. Cat better show up. Last year he disappeared. You are correct. We did talk about that. Love Monty. Yeah, Monty's good, man. Denver really misses him. Glad he's on the good side, on the Wolf side.
Of course.
D Witt 35 says, or has an emoji of a lip kind of biting one's lip, bottom lip, and says money muns. So I mean, it's getting a little scandalous around here. Yeah, what is going on here? Ow, ow.
After dark.
Yeah.
We just let the curse words fly left and right.
Yeah. Bold, but money talks is basically what he's saying about his prediction of the Wolves losing to the Nuggets at some point in his realistic mind. He cried externally, too. Yeah, he did with Rubio. He actually did.
Had to have.
He must have.
Wouldn't expect anything less.
He says, Money Munson, best guest coming soon. Debatable. Debatable. That's debatable. There's a lot left. Our good friend, my cousin, I should say, Jason Schmitz, over Bucks.
Yeah.
Ha! Who is this guy? Well, we'll see. I mean, Giannis has got to come back. I mean, that's
exactly. Giannis is on the mend right now.
Right.
They need him fully healthy.
They do need him fully healthy. So, we heard from Munson. Zoners, feel free in the chat to let us know if you think the Wolves are going to make it out of the first round here against the Suns. Give us Wolves in 5, whatever, 5, 6, 7, or if you think the Suns are going to win. We won't be offended if you do that, but we will rip you if you do. So, take the Suns. So, Voldy, real quick before we get into the Jefferson thing, what is your prediction for the series starting Saturday? Go.
Well, since I claim to be the basketball authority on this program itself, you look at the tangibles, you look at the X factors, what's going to be the big difference in this whole series? And we talked about it with Munson. It's going to be the bench play. Who's going to be the bigger threat off the bench? You look at it as well. If the Timberwolves can cause havoc, maybe get under the skin there of the Suns, cause a couple players to get in some foul trouble, I feel confident with the Timberwolves, which is something I have never, ever said before. So we need to clip this and put it out on the old socials medias. I'm going to say Timberwolves in 6. Over the Suns.
I like that. And,
basketball mind.
But, Voldy, you've, ever since we've done this show, your knowledge of the Timberwolves has gotten vast. I mean, it all started, think about this. It all started when you got sick and tired of people posting D'Angelo Russell Photoshop photos of him being in the Wolves jersey.
Look at us now.
And look at us now. You didn't burn down the Target Center or anything like
thankfully.
that. Thankfully.
I didn't do that.
Yeah. So I do like that. Now, this matchup is not what I even wanted myself. I was hoping for something along the lines of, another team in the sense of like a Lakers or the Pelicans, maybe. I don't know. It might be tough with Zion, but they might be gonzo. So, Warriors are out now, so we got that. But, I just think we're due for one. We are really due for one. The Minnesota Timberwolves sports fans have suffered through enough. But the issue that I have is it comes down to, like you said, the bench players. It comes down to Cat. This has to be a stellar series for Karl Anthony Towns. There can be no excuses. There can be no, if he gets hurt, it happens, right? But he has to show that he is a star in this league. And to shut people up saying, oh, he only puts up like 50, during meaningless games and X, Y, and Z.
Right.
No, it's time for Cat to put the big boy pants on and get it done, and I think they will. Wolves in 7. It's going to be a slobber knocker, man, as JR once said. They are going to go through hell. But you know what? I think they come out victorious. They go to Game 7, Target Center with the dub. Yeah. Jameis, yep. Jameis. Yeah. So give me the Wolves in 7. I like it. I think they're gonna get it done. Ant's gonna go off. Cat is gonna show people like he is like he can be he is a star, and he's got to show it in these playoffs. So big on Cat here. So with that being said, go Wolves. Saturday will be fun, and we will keep all eyes on it. So, Voldy, we got one hot take tonight. Yes. And that's Justin Jefferson. We're going to do a quick tater tot hot take tonight with the Justin Jefferson contract situation. So I say we get it going with some tater tot hot take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, before we start, we got Alex tuning in. Wolves in 7, but Gobert is suspended for a game of the first game of the second round for punching Grayson Allen.
Well,
there's worse things that could happen. Preemptively. Exactly. Well, he probably deserved it too, so there's that.
Oh, yeah.
But hopefully not. We need Gobert, and he's been playing quite well. So, Voldy, there has been a lot of talk this offseason about Justin Jefferson, the contract situation. Who's your quarterback going to be? Is he going to care is Justin Jefferson going to care what quarterback's back there? He does care. He doesn't care. There is so many reports, and apparently, recording reports, he turned down $30 million a year, and X, Y, and Z. But one, Mike Florio, and again, he is very critical of the Minnesota Vikings, and rightfully so in some instances. In some instances, Kirk Cousins, he's not. But in this situation, he thinks that the Vikings need to sign Jefferson as soon as humanly possible.
Right.
I know it's not going to get any cheaper. We know that. We're very well aware of that. But Kwesi and the staff, and including JJ, in on this process. Let's think about this. Next season, they have over 150, and this is just ballpark. It's not exact, but they have $150 million in cap space. They know what they need to do to keep Justin Jefferson as a Minnesota Viking for a long time.
Right.
Okay, so the fact that people are throwing out the idea of trading Justin Jefferson, you can get picks and you can get this and this. Listen, a guy that has put up over 1,000 yards each of his all of his seasons so far, he has been the best wide receiver in the NFL. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you want to trade your best player just because, we can get picks and things. Well, guess what? If you get those picks that you want, it's like, we can get our franchise QB and this and that, and we'll have good picks. Listen, how many of those picks are going to work out? I mean, have you done your research? Have you done, are you going to get 4 first-rounders? That's not going to happen. That's not realistic. They are not, and again, I don't want to go and say they're not going to trade Justin Jefferson. Don't believe, but I give it a 0.00000000000000001.2% chance. Okay, so that is a lot. I mean, it could happen. They have to get the ultimate trade package to trade Justin Jefferson. You need to bring a lot more than just, we'll give you a couple first rounders. No, this dude is legit. So if you're going to trade him, you better be giving me at least five first round picks for this year, next year, the year after, all that. So I don't understand why people think it's a smart idea for the Vikings to trade one Justin Jefferson. And again, we talk about it at length here, Voldy, that he didn't really have a quarterback this year. He was hurt for some of the year. He had over 1,000 yards. I mean, this isn't rocket science, okay? Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi have been keeping him updated on what they're going to do at the quarterback position, whether that is Sam Darnold, whether that is rumored Drake May, or J.J. McCarthy, or maybe Jaden Daniels, but that's a reach, in my opinion, there. Jason says second best. No, I'll take Justin Jefferson. But, Voldy, my question I asked to you, and to the zoners as well, do you think that if the Vikings don't get a deal done before the draft, should we start worrying about, if they're going to trade him or not? I mean, what do you think?
I would definitely be of concern when it comes to a deal not getting signed, if anything, before the start of the season as well, because you look at, obviously, going into the final year of a contract as well. You've got all that cap space next season, but if this season doesn't work out, do the Vikings say, okay, we're selling the farm, we're getting rid of all the dead weight here, and we're going to try and build the team that I want with Kwesi and then obviously Kevin O'Connell as well. I could very well see that happening. It's a very small chance, but I could definitely see it happen one stretch of the imagination or another as well. I would like to think that they will definitely get something signed by the start of the season, just dependent on how the draft works out, who they get quarterback wise as well, who's going to be that main guy right off, going into obviously with OTAs, mini camp, training camp as well, how that's all going to be. If we don't have a deal signed by week 1, I would be on the lookout. I would be on the lookout for some kind of shenanigans going on and things that are not going to be looking too fair for the future of the Vikings. But I mean, if they start losing too, I wouldn't be surprised they start moving in a few pieces here and there to at least offset and build for the future a little bit more. But I'm more concerned if the deal doesn't get signed by week 1, or at least the start of the season, obviously. But, if they get one done by the draft, I am more than happy about it, knowing that, he's going to be locked in for a much longer time. Give him the money. Give him the money that he so rightly deserves, especially after the last few years that he's been putting up since he's, obviously suited up in the purple too.
He wants to be here.
Absolutely.
I think he did the cold as balls with Kevin Hart.
Yep.
And he said he was a little jealous with Burrow and Jamar Chase, but that just kind of went hand in hand.
It did.
Especially you draft Joe Burrow first, and then the next season you take Jamar Chase.
Exactly.
And with Jefferson, nobody really believed in him when we were taking him until the Vikings, got him. And
they also
now
Jalen Reagor was better, so
yeah, apparently, yeah. I mean that's saying a lot too.
Yep.
So and this isn't just the fan in me saying like, oh for sure, oh man, for sure. Justin Jefferson's going to stay and blah, blah, blah. That it's realistic. I mean, I think they're going to sign him.
Yeah.
They want him. They want him here. You miss out with Kirk Cousins and, you have to draft that, future of the franchise. And with Kirk Cousins moving on, because he kind of knew that's where the Vikings were going to go with the future. So I'm not too concerned, but the fact that he's like, oh, trade him to someone who will pay you. Either way, any team's going to want to do that. You think the Vikings are just like, maybe we'll trade? No. I think JJ is going to be a Viking for a long time. So I don't see anything happening before the draft, in my honest opinion, Voldy. But I could see it a little bit after the draft. I would say hopefully before training camp, maybe just before training camp, I'd be okay with that. But during training camp, if he doesn't show up, then I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So we'll see. Well, we shall see. But I wanted to bring that up before we hit the draft. FYI to all the zoners that are listening in tonight. And those who will be tuning in later, the draft is upon us, and that is next week. Zoners, we're doing a giveaway. We are doing a giveaway, and it's going to be fun, man. The thing is you will see it on the social medias, hopefully by tomorrow, about what you got to do, okay? We will have a post up. You guys can sign up, basically what you're going to do is you're going to be you're going to be the GM. You're going to be Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. You're going to stay put. You're going to move up. Who are you going to take? So we will give you all the details on that, and you probably win some MinneZona stuff. So
maybe
watch out. Keep on the lookout. And next week too, we will have our draft special, baby, with myself, Voldy, and our guy, Mikey Ryan. So it'll be a heck of a time. You guys tune in as well. we're looking forward to it. So, FYI to you guys on that. All right. With that being said, we got to get to ARA. Voldy, we've got a lot of great ARAs tonight. We've got TJ Hawkinson talking about the low tackling hits that have been happening in the NFL this past season. We've got the Coyotes moving to Salt Lake for some reason. We got the NHL playoffs coming up. We've got Deion Sanders telling where his son should go, which specific teams he should go to, and the NBA, the Olympic team has been set. And all we got to say, Voldy, is buckets. Buckets. That's all we got to say. All right, let's get it going with some absurd or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, we jump right into the NFL, of course, talking about Minnesota Vikings tight end TJ Hawkinson coming off a unfortunate end to his 2023 season where he was hit low on a play that will most likely keep him out for the start of, obviously, the 2024 season, tearing his ACL and also still working on rehabilitation of his MCL ligaments in his right knee. Well, TJ has had a little bit enough of basically the low hits by defenders that have injured not only himself, but many players over the last few years as well, including Rams tight end Tyler Higbee, who was hit on a similar play as well, this being in the playoffs as well. As TJ Hawkinson did call on the NFL to address why defenders can hit pass catchers low in those situations, but offensive players aren't allowed to cut block in similar areas, and said he would have preferred to have suffered a concussion on an illegal hit than a major knee injury low, but legal contact as well. It's one of those, obviously, a catch-22 situation as well. A defender can either hit high and catch a penalty or hit low and obviously injure another person and quite possibly carry some vendetta off that as well. Of course, there are a lot of misnomers when it comes with it. A lot of it is just situational as well. We've seen the offensive guys now hurdling over defenders too, but in a situation like that, there's really no way a guy can come down and make a move, and it's just bad overall as well. But is it absurd or approved? Should the NFL take a harder look at these low hits by defenders to help prevent further injuries from taking place?
Yes, and the reason why I say that is it's not because of the hit that was on TJ Hawkinson specifically. It is the player. And I believe Kirby Joseph, if I'm not mistaken, not only did that to Hawk, but I think it was Higbee, if I'm not mistaken, for the Rams in the playoff game.
Yep.
And he's obviously had some other questionable hits. And I, for one, am not saying that as, well, you're just a Vikings fan. That's just how it is. Look at the play. Okay? He is deliberately putting his I think it was his shoulder or helmet right towards his knee. His knee. This isn't hard to grasp. He is out there trying to hurt somebody. And he did. He tore the ACL with Hawkinson. Then the next week he does it in the playoffs and against the Rams. And Jason tuning in right now, same hit to two different players. Lions just dirty.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you can't ignore it. You cannot ignore the fact that this player is going out trying to hurt people. My question is, what was done about it? I think he got fined, if I'm not mistaken. But if you do that 2 weeks in a row and you don't suspend him at least or slap on the wrist for a fine, this dude should be out of here for sure. Now, I think you have to, look into that because Hawkinson, like we said, Torn ACL. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and Jason can correct me on this, Higbee also tore his ACL too, right? If I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct.
I'm pretty confident in that, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a no-brainer. And if they do stuff like that, then they should be out of the game. He should have been out of the game, both those games. But it is technically a legal hit. Now, if I'm the NFL and I saw those, I would have went to the owners' meetings and coaches' meetings, all that stuff, and I would try to get this banned, because that is deliberately trying to hurt somebody. Now, that being said, form tackling is no longer relevant in the NFL nowadays. It's crazy. No one ever form tackles. Antoine Winfield was the best tackling corner I've ever seen. And I feel like he needs to they should hire him in the NFL to show how to properly tackle somebody, because a lot of players don't know how to do it. A lot of these D-backs specifically. Not saying all of them do it, but a good chunk. It's ridiculous. You wrap up. That's all you have to do. And if you got to make a big hit, don't use your head. That's that simple. Right. This isn't rocket science here. Yeah, absolutely. Stamp of approval. They should look at it. Jason says, ACL tear indeed. I do believe the MCL as well. My point exactly. Voldy, what do you got?
I mean, I look at this overall as we're losing more and more chance here for the NFL and even defenders as well to be able to play the game. But obviously can't hit too high, can't aim with the head, can't lower the crown of the helmet, can't form tackle. Now we're just going to go and start hitting guys waist and below and pray to God that we don't blow out somebody's knee. Unfortunately, there are some guys like, well, I can't hit them high. Well, I might as well hit them low and do some damage that way. I see that, especially with Kirby Joseph, too. I mean, a couple of dirty hits there in my mind as well. But I can understand the frustration for TJ Hawkinson as well. You get some of these guys that are 6'4", 6'5", 250 plus, just moving down the field like deer, coming against a 5'10", 5'11" corner safety, 180 pounds. Guys got to do something to slow him down. And the best way is to be a human speed bump, I guess. And, well, sometimes that human speed bump fires back a little bit more and obviously causes some damage. I think the NFL definitely needs to take a much stronger view, because we've seen what they've done, obviously, with the blows the head, the roughing the passer, now looking at, obviously, pass interference more as well. This could very well be something that looks at, if this trend does continue this season, something that will definitely be looked at the end of this coming season, going into the following year as well, to help prevent, because obviously they want to keep their best players on the field, the NFL that is, and if them being hurt and at least missing major parts of football seasons as well, that is definitely going to affect the bottom line and a lot of people's pocketbooks as well. I think it's completely, it's got my stamp of approval. They need to take a stronger look at this to help prevent further injuries.
Yeah, and it's exactly that. I mean, if you want to prevent, injuries like that, both approved for us, by the way, that's what they need to do. But I agree. I think a lot of these guys, like you said, 6'4", 6'6", whatever. But
6'38", I don't know.
Yeah, who knows, tall. Right. So, I mean, I get that, but I also know that there are other ways to tackle, and Antoine Winfield could take down almost anybody because he knew how to tackle. So, we'll see.
Exactly.
Next one, Volde.
Well, we head to the world of professional hockey, and the Arizona Coyotes are officially no more. Somehow. Let's take it back this time last week, where there was still hope for Coyotes fans in Arizona to say, hey, they're going to be sticking around. There was a somewhat semi holdout for an agreement of a deal, quite possibly to win a bid for land.
Jeez.
There were mock-ups made for a new arena in Arizona as well. I believe in Phoenix, I believe it was, that they were going to be possibly looking at building a new arena. Fast forward 2 days later, it seems that the GM Bill Armstrong told players that this past Friday that the Arizona Coyotes are going to be moving to Salt Lake City next week, which seems completely insane to begin with as well, given the fact that the Coyotes are now eliminated from playoff contention, playing in the college arena for the last couple of seasons too. Now they're saying, hey, you guys, job well done, not well enough. We'll see you in Utah, basically. The Coyotes are going to be contingent, of course, with ownership being moved to prospective owner Ryan Smith, who does own the Utah Jazz, obviously out of Salt Lake City. Of course, there are a lot of things still up in the air, that there was a verbal agreement in place, but still with the NHL schedule still being to be put out, with possibly 2 locations, one playing in Arizona and one in Salt Lake City. Nothing has been official as of yet, but of course the Coyotes have been playing home games on Arizona State, in Tempe, Arizona, I should say, at Mullet Arena for the last couple of seasons. There have been talks about looking at a new arena too. But with that being said, is it absurd or approved? Of course, with the last, week that has taken place from the time that, hey, there's possibly a new arena that's going to be built contingent on a land bid being won by the team of a new possible arena, to players being informed that the team is going to be moved. Is that absurd or approved?
Yeah, there's a lot going on with this. Apparently, with the expansion, if I'm not mistaken, if they do end up going to Salt Lake, that the expansion team is going to go to Arizona once they have the arena put down, or
it's something's going on with that. I don't know, honestly, because there are a lot more. Obviously, Salt Lake City's been one of the target sites for an expansion team, but if the Coyotes go there, another one has been Atlanta, Houston as well, the growing hockey market, of course, obviously down south. But Atlanta would be looking at its 3rd NHL franchise. The previous 2 haven't worked out so well in the past, but yeah, with the Coyotes, of course, playing in their 3rd different venue since moving to Arizona in since 1996, so just under shy of 30 years, and have been playing in 3 different venues in 3 different parts of Arizona. It doesn't speak to a lot of consistency there, but yeah, there is a possibility of hockey coming back, but with the failed venture that's been the last 20 plus years, hasn't looked very well on their part.
So it seems like this whole thing is just comes down to a verbal agreement that was going towards here, and now and they, like you said, they play in their home games in Tempe with the ASU. It seems to me like they weren't willing to wait, and they just needed to find a place to actually freaking play hockey. And Salt Lake, I feel like is a place that would make sense, but it just all seems so kind of rushed, and just like, yeah, we're out, see ya, like what the hell's going on? Like, this is insane.
Right.
So I for one, I think it's just a little fast for them to just hop on out and move on. But he's the owner, and he can do what he do. So please relocating the team. So seems like Salt Lake's the place. Are they going to change the name? I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out. So I think it's absurdly too quick. But if that means they get their arena and they're able to still play hockey, then I guess you keep it alive. But I wonder what name they'll come up with. So, or unless they're gonna stick with it, I don't know. Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, talking a couple of things at least, talking with the venue as well. They are the ownership, that being Ryan Smith with the likes of Utah and the Jazz as well, saying that they are planning on renovating the Delta Center where the Jazz play and making it suitable for NHL hockey. Once this does all come through as well, because from the time, so regular season does end actually Thursday, playoffs start on Saturday. So from Thursday all the way to, let's say, mid to late September, you've got that time to renovate and obviously build a suitable venue for hockey as well. Well, I don't know how much is going on in the Delta Center during the summer, but I feel like that you're going to have to move a few events, maybe some concerts, things of that sort. I'm going to say the Delta Center isn't very vacant during the summer as well, with maybe some things coming through with tours and musicians, all sorts of weird acts coming through as well. And even talking about too with the possible name change, that they could change their name if that does come through as well with the sale of the team. Again, nothing has been 100% official as of yet, but we could probably get something here within the next 24 or 48 hours. Obviously, with the end of the regular season coming through, I'm sure the sale would probably go through and the announcement taking place. But Ryan Smith has been asking fans for potential names if the sale does come through and, the Coyotes move to Arizona. I just think it was the writing on the wall, especially when the Coyotes changed from the Phoenix Coyotes to the Arizona Coyotes, and the league was owning the team. So like the last less than, actually, we're going into almost a decade now where the Phoenix Coyotes have been the Arizona Coyotes, and they've switched from obviously being in Phoenix, then they went to I believe they were in Mesa for a little bit, and now obviously in Tempe, where Arizona State has been with their hockey program, the last handful of seasons. It's just not been a consistent enough process for them to build a team as well. They've had great players come through. They've got a really nice young core coming up, and I'm sure they want to be able to showcase that more. New site, new venue, obviously staying most likely in the same division as well, building off of the fact that, Salt Lake City's on the up and up. They're looking at quite possibly bringing in a Major League Baseball team as well. Obviously, they've had the Jazz for a good number of years as well. They're looking at hosting the Winter Olympics coming up in the next, it's like the next 2 or 3 bids. Yeah. It might be actually sooner as well, because I know that the Los Angeles is hosting the Summer Olympics in 2028. So it's like maybe like 2030, I think, or something like that. One of the next few Winter Olympic bids, quite possibly coming back to Salt Lake City. So there's a lot coming in for Salt Lake City. This would be one to be put in. I just don't like the fact to be like, nope, we're moving to Salt Lake City. Screw you guys and screw all this. We're making this making this happen. But you would like to think Arizona would have had a little bit more punch, but I think they're just too burnt out from the whole situation. I don't like it personally, so I think it's completely absurd. Things could have been handled a little bit more differently, given the fact that, just because the team hasn't been good, there have been a lot of good players that have come through. There's been some, some great players. They've got a really good youth core coming up as well. That'll be something to watch over the next few years. It's completely absurd in my mind.
Well, when you mentioned great players, you missed your guy. Phil the Thrill. Oh, no, never mind. He's no longer the Thrill anymore.
Ew.
Kirill the Thrill. Dollar Bill Kirill. And the Wild do have their last game on Thursday, like we were talking about, and unfortunately they are not in the playoffs. But we'll talk about that at another time. All right. With that being said, next one, Voldy.
Well, we prepare ourselves for Team USA men's basketball 2024 in Paris, France. The 12 players that have been picked to be a part of Team USA, less than 3 months away. We're actually 99 days away from the opening of the Paris Olympics. And boy, this team is going to get 2 words: buckets. Buckets, baby, as announced by, of course, Grant Hill and the squad from Team USA basketball. List does include perennial, of course, a bit of a return of some of the old guard of Team USA basketball, with a little bit of the new flavor as well. Of course, Team USA, unfortunately, unable to medal in the World Cup this past year, but LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, along with Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Anthony Davis, Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Drew Holiday, including Bam Adebayo, and even the likes of Kawhi Leonard. He rounds off the list as well, just announcing that final roster spot for Team USA. Of course, a good mix of size, ability, guys that can play the role players as well, guys that can also get you points in many different situations. Looking at the overall makeup of this squad, is it absurd or proof? Team USA take gold in Paris in 2024.
I don't really have to put it into any more words but this. Give it a second. It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Stamp of approval.
There
Like,
it is.
If I could do a bunch of them, like I would cover this screen with them. This team is absolutely positively stacked. There is no, and you can quote this too, and we can clip this, we can do, whatever with this. Team USA is going to win the gold medal hands down by, not to the dream team level. I don't want to go as far as that because they were one of the greatest teams ever assembled. But this team, you have Ant, you have Jason Tatum, you have LeBron. He's playing probably in his last Olympics, I would think.
Yeah.
KD, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, Kawhi. They are absolutely positively stacked. If they lose and they only get like a silver, bronze, I would be shocked. I would be absolutely shocked. There's no way that this team is going to lose to any of those teams. They are going to smoke, and I quote, smoke the rest of the countries that will be in the Olympics. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I put it in the, I put it on our socials medias. They're going to get buckets. They are going to get it done. They are coming away with gold. I'm calling it right here on this show. Gold medal for Team USA in the Summer Olympics this year.
I like it.
Damn right. Let's go. Voldy, what do you got?
I mean, look at how the World Cup did end up as well this past year. I mean, there's really, really good competition when it comes to the international level as well. Germany won the World Cup last year in basketball as well. Germany, not exactly a basketball powerhouse, you would certainly think of as well. Canada did beat Team USA for the bronze medal as well. Serbia won silver, and that was without Nikola Jokic as well. The reigning silver medalist in France is going to be back with its core, and you throw in Wemby in the mix too. This is going to be a really tough go-around for Team USA, but you look at the overall makeup of this team. You put together, of course, with Steve Kerr and Grant Hill being the managing director for Team USA basketball. You've got guys that can go out there and get you points. You got guys that can go in and do the dirty work, do a lot of the little details as well. We saw a lot from just throw out, obviously we're going to talk about our guy, Anthony Edwards. This season as well, you look at how this whole season's really played out, really more about doing a lot of the little things, defensively, transition, facilitating the play as well for him, as opposed to first couple of years as well. I'm going to go down, I'm going to get my points and maybe try and figure out defensively. A lot more of an overall player this season that could really lend its hand here at the international level. Of course, Steph Curry playing with his first Olympic team as well, how that's really going to adjust as well. You've got the consummate leader for Team USA with LeBron James too. You've got Durant in the mix as well. I really like to see how it's going to really play down low. Do you go with Joel Embiid? Do you throw Anthony Davis in there as well? Obviously, not really looking at Bam Adebayo right now as well, but we'll see how things really play out with that. But looking at how that play is going to be forced down low with Embiid and, with Anthony Davis too. But, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see. You see a few more role guys on the roster with Halliburton and Drew Holiday, not exactly big-name guys that you throw out there. Obviously, Holiday's been really good the last few years too, him being in Milwaukee this past year with Boston too. Halliburton's been a kind of a underrated player, I would certainly say, with his play with the Pacers as well. That could really be a nice little, wrinkle thrown in there too. But overall, I mean, I don't see how the team doesn't get into the medal category, but they're gonna certainly earn a gold medal compared to some of the other years as well. But I'll go out on record and saying yes, they will take gold in Paris this year.
I say no ifs, ands, or buts. It's gonna happen, baby. Go Team USA. Let's get her done. And you know what? I think Ant's gonna be a monster in these Olympics. Just saying. I know with the Wolves and everything, but he's gonna get it done. He's gonna get it done. All right, next one, Voldy.
So looking at, of course, with the NFL draft coming up here next week, we're actually going to be moving ahead to 2025 in the world of draft. Of course, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, is going to be sending a couple of interested prospects into next year's draft, of course, being his son, quarterback Shedeur Sanders, and obviously two-way stud, wide receiver, defensive back Travis Hunter, who expected to be high draft picks for 2025. But Coach Prime said that of his two players that he's going to be sending out into the world of the NFL, he's got a couple of rules that he wants his players to showcase their best talents going forward, including saying that he doesn't want his doesn't want his players to be playing for, quote, cold weather cities. And of course, noting that some of the teams that he would like to see of the 6 teams that he did list as interested parties, 5 of which are actually teams that he played for, including San Francisco, Dallas, Washington, Baltimore, and Atlanta. Of course, those all being teams that he played for in the past as well. Sanders did go on and say that the Eagles would be a good fit for, of course, Shedeur and for Travis Hunter. Well, we'll see how they do this following season. Probably won't see them very high in the draft, but there is a lot of interest being drawn, of course, with, seeing the 2 top players for the Colorado Buffaloes at a premier team in the future as well. But, obviously Coach Prime wanting to put out feelers for his 2 best players for NFL teams going into next season. But a lot of football to be played here from now until that point. But do you think it's absurd with Prime voicing which teams he wants his players to go to? Will that hurt their draft stock going into 2025?
Well, he's really set the bar for him. I mean, he's saying like these guys are gonna go top 4. Like, okay, like you have another season to go through here too. I mean, this isn't, and I just think it's, and I like Prime in some instances, but in this instance, I don't know. It's just like he listed all the teams that he played on and whatnot, and then you throw the Eagles in there, but like, I mean, that is kind of a cold weather city. They've had big
exactly. That's
before.
What I said too.
It's like this isn't hard to figure out. Now, I'm not offended that he didn't mention the Vikings. I mean, you're in a you're in a dome and not a dome, but
for half the season at least.
Yeah, half the season. But then you have to go to Chicago and you have to go to Green Bay, and obviously Detroit is enclosed as well. So, but I don't know. I in this instance, why is he saying that? And first of all, why would you want to go to Washington? I mean, I mean, come on. This is the Commanders we're talking about here, and they still got a lot to figure out. But Shedeur could very well get the starting spot if things don't work out. If they don't take Jaden Daniels, if they go another route, there's always that option. But in my estimation, him kind of putting out teams saying this is where I don't want him to go to cold weather cities. It's like, well, too bad. I mean, I don't know. It's just like, dude, why are you even talking about this right now? Just, get your season done. Then you can do whatever you want to talk about with that. In this instance, I'm just kind of like, okay, you go ahead, control where they go and whatnot. But I think it's absurd. I don't like this, and I do like Coach Prime. Don't get me wrong, but I just think this is kind of silly in my opinion. But I think they should have a say in where they go too. I mean I feel like that's fair enough to say. I know that Eli Manning, John Elway, they didn't want. Well, Eli didn't want to go to San Diego at the
San
time,
Diego. Yep.
and Elway didn't want to go to. I believe it was no, was it the Colts?
No, I believe so. Yes.
The Colts, and end up going to Denver. Jim Kelly didn't even want to go to Buffalo, but he ended up loving it. So you could essentially, I'm not saying that he'll go to Buffalo, or those guys, Hunter and Sanders, go to Buffalo. But I'm just saying in general, I don't know. I think it's silly, in my opinion. I think it's absurd. Voldy, what do you think?
I think it's one of the situations you look at. Obviously, we're talking about draft and everything. You still got a whole football season ahead of you. You got to make it a spring ball.
Yeah.
You got to make sure these kids are going to be good going out of the summer and getting ready for a season of Big 12 football, which is not going to be as easy in any stretch of the imagination for, of course, the Buffaloes after a 4-8 season. I should say, well, you were 4-0, and then the next thing you know, you lose 8 straight to finish off the year as well. I think Dion, I don't know. I wouldn't even want to say he means well. He means what he means. I'll say that much.
Yes.
But there's just times it's like I understand what you're trying to do, but right now, I don't think we need to be talking about it right now. But I can see where he's coming from. Obviously, he wants to garner that interest. But look, if they play well on the field, they're going to get, obviously their looks and everything. Is it going to be obviously top 10, top 5 picks? We'll see. We'll see how the season plays out. But yet, I still don't know how a guy like Drake May, who was playing in the, the ACC, but it wasn't for Clemson, wasn't for, Florida State. A guy out of North Carolina is, possibly a top 3 pick in the NFL, playing out of North Carolina. And no, we're not talking about basketball. I don't know how this always happens where these guys are like, oh, yeah, he's supposed to be a top, top tier, draft prospects. Like, then how come he wasn't playing at like LSU or USC or Alabama? Why is this happening? How is this happening? Who makes this stuff up? It confuses me each and every year how we get to this point. But bringing it all back, I don't think it'll hurt their stock. The only thing that's really going to hurt their stock as well, you think wins and losses would hurt it, but obviously staying healthy is another thing. If they do a lot of the things that they did last season, but just add a few more wins on top of it, get to a bowl game, anything after that's going to be a bonus. I feel like they'll be just fine. I think it hurts their stock a little bit, obviously, just, putting it out there, even though we're a year away and a year removed for them, a year away from them even getting drafted or even getting looked at getting drafted as well. I'm going to say it's got my stamp of approval. I think Coach Primes is doing a little too much right now.
Yep, I agree. I mean, I just think I think it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, we get it. You love what you have with your players and whatnot. Like, we get it, man. All right. So, I don't know. Yeah. Just focus on this season. All right. Exactly. Last one, Voldy.
Of course, coming up here on Saturday, the opening of the Stanley Cup playoffs will be back once again. Some of the matchups coming down to the final days of the regular season, those last-minute playoff matchups to be determined going into the final games of the regular season, of course, tonight and going into tomorrow as well. But a lot of playoff matchups have been set out of the East. Of course, the New York Rangers, the President Cup Trophy, I should say President Trophy winners here out of the regular season. The reigning defending champions of the Stanley Cup, that being the Vegas Golden Knights, just sneaking in right now out of that 3rd seed of the Pacific Division as well. But looking at the matchups we've got so far, DJ Matty C, who do you got as your Stanley Cup final matchup? Who's taking home Lord Stanley here this summer?
Ooh, Lord Stanley. Oh, great questions. I've been hearing a lot about the Jets playing really good hockey as of late. But, they do have to take on the Avs. The Avs have been quite good this season as well, as they've always kind of in some aspect. Oh, the Bruins take on the Leafs again? Wow, I didn't see that one coming. I feel like it's almost like every playoffs, It's the Bruins and the Leafs. I mean, it's just
Hate Toronto.
insane. Yeah, they're
Toronto so much.
the,
So much.
yeah.
And everybody hates Boston. It's fine. It's whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So
Fine.
it's fine. I'm gonna go out on a limb here because I'm looking at these teams, and I obviously the Oilers with Connor McDavid, and they've been playing well. The Canucks are playing well, which is hard to say. That's Combs Canucks. Voldy. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay. Here's who I got coming out of the East. You ready for it?
Okay. What do you got?
I got the Lightning. Tampa Bay, baby. Tampa Bay Lightning. Okay.
Hate it.
I know. But
Hate
just
Tampa.
Wait. Just wait.
That's Tampa.
And then give me the Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars and the
like
Tampa
that.
Bay Lightning. I'm just
Sexy
going out
pick
on
right
a
there.
I'm going out on a limb.
Okay.
I know the Stars gave the Wild last year. It was tough for the Wild. That's for sure. They've got a lot of good players, and Suter is still around, which is surprising to me. Now he's gone from most lovable Wild player to just public
most
enemy
hated
number
guy.
one.
Oh, absolutely.
But who is gonna come back with Lord Stanley? Give me the Stars. Dallas Stars, Stanley Cup champions.
Ryan Suter gets his first Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
it.
We'll
like
go
it.
with that. And again, I'm probably way off, but you know what? That's what I do. I go out on a limb. Okay, I'm going out on a limb. So give me the Stars Lightning matchup and go from there. Wild are not in it, and obviously you can't pick them.
Right.
So that is what it is. All right. Who do you got, Shield?
Yeah, I look at the current matchups as well. There's a couple things still to be determined. Obviously, nailing that second wild card spot. Washington just squeaks into the playoffs this go around. They've got the President Trophy winners right off the bat with the New York Rangers. That'll be a very interesting matchup. Looking out of the East, it's going to be a dogfight between Boston and the Maple Leafs. Whichever goaltender keeps it under 5 goals will get obviously get the wins and get the series as well. Out of the East here, I want to, a very streaky team with the Bruins. You've got a little bit of grit and grime with the battle for Florida with Tampa and the Panthers as well. I'm going to say here, coming out of the Eastern Conference, this is going to be no shocker as well. Give my Boston Bruins the Eastern Conference champions back in the Stanley Cup final as well. Throw that into the mixer as well. But the Western Conference, you win the West, I mean, you are going to be tired, I will certainly say the least, because the Western Conference has kind of held its own in recent years. You've got the Avalanche, you've got the Vegas Golden Knights, the defending Stanley Cup champions as well. Edmonton certainly likes to obviously outrace you in many different areas and put the puck in the back of the net. A lot of surprising teams this season. Obviously the Central Division with the Wild play as well. It's a 3-horse race between Dallas, Winnipeg, and the Avalanche as well. One of those two is, one will get eliminated with Colorado and the Jets as well. That's going to be a really good series in my mind. And there's going to be, obviously, the Avs are looking at possibly reloading going into the playoffs too. A couple of guys have been out since the start of the season. Western Conference, you know what? I hate to say it, but give me the Avalanche. I don't know why, but just give me the Avs. I think they've got that playoff intensity with, of course, McKinnon as well.
They do.
Landeskog's been on the up and up as of late. He's been out since the start of the season with an injury as well. I don't know if he'll make it back to the ice, but for some reason, the Avalanche have caught my eye here many times this season. So we've got the Bruins and we've got the Avalanche. One team I love, one team I absolutely hate more than anything in this world. But I'm going to throw out here on a limb as well. Give me my Boston Bruins to take the Stanley Cup 5 games against the Colorado Avalanche to bring Lord Stanley back once again. Brad Marchand will retire at the end of the season, of course, making it now the 3rd straight season where the captain retires. So we'll see of course, Charlie McAvoy take the seat the following season. More to come on possible retirements and more retirements here with Shield shoutouts. But Give me my Boston Bruins to win the Stanley Cup here, starting it off here. Playoffs start this Saturday. It'll be on 420, believe it or not. So blaze up for Lord Stanley.
You just made Joe Clements very happy, I feel like.
Yes, sir.
I assume he's probably doing the same. Yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna go with Stars, man. I don't know. I feel like they really showed me something last season.
As much as I want Zach Parise to finish his career with a Stanley Cup, it cannot come at the hands of the Boston Bruins because it would make it 3 straight
right.
Stanley Cup Finals appearances that the Bruins would not come home with the Stanley Cup as well. 2013 and I believe also 2019 I think it was with whenever St. Louis won it as well. So can't go 3 finals appearances and come up empty-handed as well. I want Suter, I want Parise to win a Stanley Cup. It's a shame that they both play in the same conference as well.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be mad if either one of those guys won a Stanley Cup here this year. As much as I want Parise more to win it, and Suter as well, I gotta stick with my guys in the Bruins.
All right, there you have it. Great job with ARA tonight, Voldy, as always.
Thanks, sir.
There's a hell of a game going on right now, FYI. The Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers, 58 seconds left, 96-96. Play-in game. So whoever loses this game will have to play host to the game that's tonight. And I believe that is... Oh, gosh. I'm blanking out right now. Not the Hawks. No, it is the Hawks, isn't it? The Hawks and somebody else. All right, I'll look at it during while we go to Shield shoutouts. So, with that being said, we got some Shield shoutouts tonight. We got to get to them, like Voldy said. Some retirements happening, so let's get it going. What's up? Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, it is time for Shield shoutouts. So, Shield, who you shouting out tonight?
Well, we go, of course, to the world of retirements and a couple of notable names as well. Wish best of luck, of course, in retirement to Blake Griffin, playing in 14 years, but technically 13 seasons. Of course, a cornerstone of the LA Clippers Lob City movement that took place, of course, at the start of his career, will be retiring at the completion of the regular season. Blake Griffin, of course, spending time in parts with the Clippers and then the Detroit Pistons, the Brooklyn Nets at that point, and, of course, finishing and rounding off his career in recent seasons with the Boston Celtics. Of course, a high draft prospect as well coming out of Oklahoma. Blake Griffin was a can't-miss player. Fortunate injuries and just inconsistent play for him. Never really saw the true potential out of him. Spurts here and there, but nothing, of course, with his time in the Clippers, most notably, including with Doc Rivers being head coach as well. Didn't really pan out all that much, but we do wish Blake Griffin's been a heck of an off-the-court correspondent as well. Funny guy as well. Does a little stand-up here and there, too. So Blake Griffin's going to be kept plenty busy as well, going here into the next chapter of his career as well. But, of course, another notable name will be retiring at the completion of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Longtime Boston Bruins TV play-by-play announcer. You love him or you hate him. More people hate him than love him. I love him, Jack Edwards. He will be retiring at the end of the playoffs as well. Colorful personality that may rub people the wrong way, but you gotta love it because the guy is a homer in every sense of the word. If you don't know who Jack Edwards is, look him up. Hear some of his great calls as well, whether it's a Bruins player beating the hell out of somebody or just an absolute electrifying postseason and playoff goal. Jack Edwards has had the call, so I'm sure they will be hopefully many great moments here in the playoffs as well. And that will do it for Shield shoutouts this week.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Blake Griffin, man, Lob City Clips.
Funny dude.
Lob City Clips. Dude could throw it down, man. He was one heck of a dunker, and they had some good teams, but they just could never get to that.
Get over
threshold.
the hump.
Get over the hump, exactly. But he has had a great career nonetheless. And congratulations to Jack Edwards as well. The teams that are playing tonight, Bulls, Hawks. So I did get the Hawks right, and then the Bulls. So we'll see who ends up playing the loser here tonight. But right now, 99-96, 76ers and the Heat. And now, Jimmy, come on, Jimmy. Come on. You're supposed to be the guy. Come on, buddy.
Got
all right.
Stevie roster too.
Yeah, paybacks, you know what? It's a biatch. So,
Yes, sir.
with that being said, we've got the draft next week. Ladies and gentlemen, we are doing a giveaway. You don't know what you might end up with, but you will find out at some point this week. We will have something for you. So
Cooking up something,
tuned.
baby. Cooking it up.
Let it cook, baby. With that being said, though, if you're like, no, I want to get all my merch now, we got stuff for you. We got the sweatpants, which are still available. I know
Yes, sir.
we're getting to that time, but just know we have them. We got the shirts as well, $20, $5 shipping. You know the deal. Stickers, $2 for small ones, $3 for the big ones. And then these bad boys, these are still available as well. The limited, or not limited, but I guess in some aspect. But they are great nonetheless. Our camo hats, our USA caps as well. Papa Callahan was just wearing his the other day, by the way.
Nice.
$20, $5 shipping. We got the tumblers still available as well. We have the winter caps as well. We've got a whole slew of stuff. The quarter zips, throw that in there too. Yeah, right here. Fantastic.
Nice.
All
There
right.
it is.
Yeah, and make sure to check out W2 Performance. Will Rittel at www.w2performance.com. Shout out to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson for the stickers. Shout out to our Victorious POD fellas, TLS Performance, Troy Stoudemire, and the Popcorn Bucket List will has weekly videos popping out the woodwork. So make sure you check out Nick Dahlhoff, Ryan Marburg, Omni Entertainment, the Rhino. He's got some good takes as always. So you know the deal with that. With the Rhino and Nick Dahlhoff. So, that is going to do it, Voldy, for episode 189. We hit 190 the next time we were on here. We're getting closer and closer and closer to 200. So,
200. Wow. Crazy.
I know, right? It's insane. So, with that being said, go Wolves. We will see you next week for our draft special with Mikey Ryan. We are really looking forward to it. Until then, remember, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.